Book as well.
Second. Hey, everybody. It looks like we are just about live. And I know you're probably surprised that we are here seeing you on a Monday night. But Mona and I decided last night that we wanted to get to a conversation that we didn't have a chance to last night. So here we are. We're going to talk about all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Um, it's a lively discussion that we saw happening right here on Facebook and thought, So we didn't finish last night, episode 104, All Skin Folk Ain't Kinfolk. We were supposed to be the main event, and we ran out of time before we actually got there. So here we are. This isn't necessarily a new episode. This is the rest of the conversation tonight. Byron Donalds versus David Jolly for governor, the gubernatorial race that will be happening on November 4th, and what that matchup actually means for people that look like us. And we think that's an important conversation. In fact, I'm enjoying reading a lot of the um, back and forth as a result of our thumbnail that we put on Facebook. So, folks, sit tight and go ahead and subscribe, or share with someone else that you may know, because this is going to be quite the conversation tonight.
To the Black Independent, where we speak truth to power, unapologetically.
For too long, the black vote has been treated like a given, but we're not property, we're not pawns. We are the descendants of those who built this nation, and now we're demanding tangibles, not tokenism, because the era of blind loyalty is over. This is the Black Independent. Let's get to work.
Hey, folks, so here we are. We're going to get to work tonight, and I'm just going to try to bring up Mona, and we are doing some very different ways of managing things. Mona, can you bring yourself up, or is that something I need to do? Or let's see. I think I got it. You asked me if I put this on Facebook. I think I did, because in StreamYard I did send it through my Facebook. I couldn't send it through your Facebook because you have to set it up from your end, reset it up from your end. So that is what I can report to you there. And the reason
Is it on our page or on your personal page?
it's on We Are Black Independent page, it's
Okay,
on
that's fine.
my personal page, um, it's everywhere. And folks, we know we have the echo when I'm speaking, and that's going to be a game that we're going to be playing with the mics. One is on, one is off throughout. So bear with us as we have this conversation. We are going to be paying close attention to what you are saying in the chat, because we think it's important that we can carry on this conversation right with you tonight. I know me and Mona certainly talk about it, and we did say to ourselves, hey, you know what? Let's bring everybody else in. So, all right. And Mona, I just want to say, great show last night. We covered a lot of ground with Allison Hewitt. That girl, that woman is so knowledgeable. She came through with the Ray Stadium update. Folks, we got to keep up to date on what's going on with the Rays Stadium. And with her, we walked through a full review of the what's happening with the Rays Stadium. But then Mona and I walked through a full review of the WABI primary slate. So we got that out of the way, but it did take the full 2 hours that we were on. So we did run out of time before we got to the segment we built the whole show or the whole episode around, and that was all skin folk ain't kinfolk. That's something that's a saying that most Black folk are certainly familiar with. So tonight we're engaging in that conversation, the one that we see heating up on social media. So Mona, if you're ready, are you ready? She's going to walk us through the actual matchup as a result of the primary. We have two people, and she's going to talk about those in terms of what we're actually going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to also bring up their picture while you talk about the matchup. So you can kind of look at that blue box and say, who's running? We're talking about the gubernatorial race. That's the basis of the conversation tonight.
And I think what I hope is here tonight, Jeannette, is to make people understand or see a clear difference of these two individuals. Okay, so Byron Donalds, he's a Republican, and he won the Republican primary for governor. David Jolly running as a Democrat, won the Democratic primaries. And Donalds, the one on the right, was endorsed by President Trump, and he defeated. I thought this, and he defeated him really well because I thought this was going to be close between Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins, Jane Fishback. I thought he would. I thought he would have did a little bit better, but I'm glad he came in where he came in, and the former House Speaker. So Jolly, a former Republican congressman who left the GOP in 2018. He became a NPR, and then he switched to the Democratic Party and became the Democratic nominee. And he has Gwen Graham is running as his running mate for lieutenant governor. We're going to get into that, probably not this show, but we do have to talk about her as well. The fundraising gap is huge here, Jeannette, because Donald raised roughly $10.2 million in the last quarter alone versus Jolly roughly $1 million through his committee and campaign account. Now, what we know, who won, and the margins, the money, and what's different about facing a Democrat who used to be a Republican.
I'm trying not to say too much because I don't want you to have to go back and forth unless you absolutely must. But folks, these are the two people that we are going to be talking about over the next, I would say, 70 days. So it's about 10 weeks. We have 70 days to decide between the two. I did not think, Mona, this was going to be a question necessarily because it's a Republican versus a Democrat. Now, I know your discussion about the whole shifting, but that is a conversation worth having as well, because what I found out in the research is both have shifted in their time in politics. So we'll talk about that a little bit down the road as well. So I don't know if you are ready to go. I am.
I'm ready to go, but I would not say both have switched because Bryant switched very early in his youth, young adult. So he was probably in his early 20s.
He did.
Maybe mid 20s. So, so it's not the same. But what we're going to talk about, we're going to try to show this comparison, what they are perceiving as history, our first Black governor.
Okay.
Because it's a difference. So Jackie Robinson, you remember him?
I
Jesse
do.
Owens,
Yep.
the first black player in the NBA. Hattie McDaniels, the first black Oscar winner. Gus Bradford, the first black astronaut. And Barack Obama, Ketanji Brown Jackson, all was first.
Hmm. And I guess that's the framing that I want us to address first, because that's what I'm hearing a lot in the social media exchange. How are you going to deny this black man who could be the first black governor for the state of Florida? And typically, as you said, Jackie Robinson, Jesse Owens, and the like, we embrace when we are able to make those kind of inroads. So I would say to each one of those that you said, those first meant something very real for the African American or the Black community. They broke a door down that was just pretty much welded shut. Nobody on this show is really disputing that, Mona.
No, we're not. But Jeanette, here's the question we want the audience to sit with tonight. First, I put in quotation, breaking a door down is not the same question as what a specific person does once they go through it. And we have evidence of these people who have gone through those doors and forgot where they came from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jackie Robinson integrated baseball, and Jackie Robinson actually political. They're just two different conversations to have. What he did with baseball, we could be great at. Now, what his political thoughts might not be in alliance with us. It is not the same thing. Obama presidency being historic and Obama specifically policy records are two different conversations. So we cannot be caught up on him being the first here in Florida.
Yeah, but I guess what I want to say to the audience about the first, and when the first is somebody whose politics run against the interests of the very community that's celebrating the first, that's exactly when you pull the records and pull the receipts. That's when that matters the most. Yes, he is a black man, and yes, he could potentially be the first black governor of Florida. But perhaps that first is not good for the black community. And the black community needs to get beyond skin color and go in depth to what are the receipts, what does the record say about his belief system, his political record in particular.
Well, you just said something. Yes, he is a black man. He is black in color. And I've been thinking about this all day because he is not ADOS. And a lot of black Americans don't want to be associated as ADOS or FBA's Foundation of Black America. But ADOS only stands for people, American descendant of slavery. And it
Mm-hmm.
is a difference. And I had to find that out because it said this brother cannot be an ADOS. He's a distant cousin. And we have to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Clarence Thomas is the second Black Supreme Court Justice, not the first. Thurgood Marshall holds that title as the first U.S. Supreme Court, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I submit to you that for most of us watching tonight, Thomas is the only one we actually know, right? Marshall retired in 1991. And, as we know and heard of what he did in civil rights, that's all we know. But we know Clarence Thomas, right? So for
Yeah.
most of my lifetime, Thomas have felt like the first, even though he isn't.
Well, I think that's exactly why Marshall's record matters here. Again, he's black and he has a record. Before he ever sat on the court, he was the lawyer who argued and won Brown v. Board of Education. That matters to the black community. He was instrumental in dismantling legal segregation itself. Thomas inherited a seat that Marshall built practically with his own hands.
So I was just thinking about something because he wants to be the first governor. And I remember when, and I can't remember what state that was, but it was this black woman, and
Mm-hmm.
she was running for governor, and she didn't win. And everybody she kept saying, "I can't believe black women aren't supporting me." Woman, you're a Republican. You don't stand for anything. We just don't. And I know as much as people think we're just
Bingo.
that stupid, we're just not. And I think she could have been in that same state where the other black guy, Mark, all of them was running when Trump was running.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, what was that big black guy name? And he got into so much trouble,
Mm-hmm.
sexual trouble, and all of that stuff. But yeah. And so look, it's the same thing. Tim Scott.
Mm-hmm.
So Tim Scott is a genuine first. Thomas is a second who plays like first in the public imagination, and that is a distinction. That distinction matters a lot.
I think it does. I think it really does. But I want to look at a comment. Hey, Kevin, how are you doing? Kevin says, first and foremost, he's a politician. He's only as good to me as he advances our political agenda. Here, here, melanin be damned. And I think that is where many of us stand. The problem is that doesn't seem to be where all of us stand. And I want to make sure that number, that latter number, does not overwhelm this particular sentiment right here. So I appreciate that. So here's what we want to sit with instead. During both Thomas and Scott's tenures, Black Americans have lost significant ground, and I think we need to pay attention to that. I was, in fact, reading a post by Curtis Stokes, and he said, "Okay, here it goes," and he warned us that it was long, and it was long, but it was very well thought out on the lack of accomplishments of Byron Donalds. I appreciated that. In fact, I have it, and I may pull it at some point to just read it on air because he took the time to actually write it out. So Thomas was in the majority in Shelby County versus Holder in 2013, which gutted the pre-clearance formula in the Voting Rights Act. It was that first step for gutting the Voting Rights Act, which our ancestors fought so hard for. That was Clarence Thomas. And I just need you guys to understand that all kinfolk is not necessarily, what did I say? Skinfolk is not necessarily kinfolk. So he wrote, Thomas, the concurrence in the Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard in 2023. And that's only recent. It seems like there's a steady breakdown of everything Black people have worked for in this country. And the white elites are using Black people to accomplish it. And that is what I'm asking us to pay attention to. So Tim Scott has opposed the John Lewis Voting Rights Act advancement at every time it came up. And Thomas, he's going to retire soon, right? What can the Black community actually claim as groundbreaking advancement due to his efforts for the Black community? Anybody? What can we say if Thomas retires tomorrow? What can we say that he has done to advance the Black community? If the past is prologue, the same will be true of Tim Scott for Black South Carolinians. And I believe with a Byron Donalds, the same will likely be true. Now, I also read a response to Curtis Stokes by Daryl Heisch saying, and I didn't read the whole thing, but it was very fairy tale-ish in its approach. Well, what if he did all of that through all of those years so he could get into the governor's mansion and begin doing some good things for Black folks? I decided I was done. I was done with that. So that's it, Mona. That's fairy tale thinking.
Yeah, that very fairy tale. It's not going to happen. But Jeanette, you know what I see, and I know a lot of Republicans. I know a lot of good Black Republicans for whatever reason. But what I do notice, those that want to be in office, is a different. So let me tell you what I actually see when I look at, say, Brian, Clarence Thomas, Tim Scott, and all of the rest of them, Candace Owens, all of them. I see men saying whatever they need to say to stay relevant, right? In a Republican Party that would spit them out the second they stop performing, because that's all this is.
That's
They
all
are
it is.
performing for their master. That is the bottom line. And they have to be able to get out there and say the stuff that the white man can't really say in the Republican Party without being called racist. They have to be able to say America isn't racist. It's always them. And then as something happened to them, then it's, oh, look at me, America is racist. No, you said it was not. And so I'm not going to go along with that. America is racist.
Yeah.
Either when it comes to you, when they show you, because they're going to always show them who they are. So the honest question isn't, is this a first? It's more about what happened to the Black community, why they held these seats.
Yeah. So I guess I want to take that same lens, the one that we just looked at, Clarence Thomas through, the one that we looked at Tim Scott through. And I want to look at Byron Donalds' rise, which is what Curtis Stokes was doing today. And I absolutely appreciated reading it. In fact, I said, thank you so much for taking the time to actually write that, because I think over the next 70 days or so, it is going to take us using social media, using our day-to-day interactions to make sure our Black brothers and sisters not only vote, but they vote in their interests. And I don't know that we are right now making the distinction between skin color and actual record, because we're enamored with the first. And I think we've been discovered by white America on how wonderful we think the first is. But Donald's rise inside the Republican Party has followed the same pattern that we just described. He does not rise without complete compliance to Donald Trump. And we watched that. We saw it. We also saw the rejection once Donald Trump was in office the second time, that he thought he was going to be in the cabinet and he was not. We saw that with him. We saw that with Tim Scott. All of that work, all of that visible, I love you stuff, and they got completely rejected. So, even as MAGA's own numbers slip nationally, and they are starting to slip, as well as Trump's numbers, they are starting to slip. What Donalds understands is that his compliance to Trump in this case cannot waver. And we'll explain a lot as to why that is so. And we have seen Trump avoid accountability and the people around him avoid accountability so many times before that I almost understand why people put their faith in his ability to have another life, like Cats and Nine Lives. So I don't know.
So, do you think whatever benefits Trump has gotten politically, these people think it's gonna be they would get the same? Because if you can't see everybody that Trump has brought in has all left in shame,
Mm-hmm.
in cuffs, broke. You look at Julie, what was the mayor of New York? The old guy,
Giuliani.
Giuliani. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You just look at Cohen's, all of these people, and I think of Pam Bondi. You know, Jesus, I don't know, but Byron, he knows exactly what that means, Jeanette. He knows. He knows the role he'll be expected to play as governor of this state where Donald Trump actually lived, because Donald Trump want to be able to come back to Florida with no anything. He's Donald Trump is building his retirement. He's putting people in place who's going to protect him,
That's it.
and and that is what he's doing. And I know that this guy will not deviate. And even after the second term, this once Trump is up in 2 years, this guy has been conditioned so long. I don't even know if he could come back to the center.
I agree.
Mhm.
I totally agree with that. And that Donald Trump is like he's playing chess and he's 5 moves ahead of the rest of us. So when he decides, before Donald's even declares that he's going to run for governor, that he is going to put his support behind him, um, it didn't make sense to me until now. It makes sense because he also has a lot of his backers, and we'll talk about that later, that are backing him with that 10 million point two donation pot of money, if you will, compared to not 10 million. Did I say 10 million? Yeah, 10 million versus 1 million. So with the so we've already seen what kind of control looks like up close, what that kind of control looks like up close. Because I don't know if you remember, Mona, the judge Cannon, Eileen Eileen Cannon, that for the documents case, um, she owes her seat on the federal bench to Trump before he left. The last few days before he left in his first term, he started appointing judges. She was one of those judges that got appointed. No real experience on the bench. So while he's out and he's going through all of this trouble with regard to the classified documents, who ends up being the one in charge? Her. And what happened to that case, right? delay, bang, we're banking up against a presidential election, and all of a sudden, nobody can touch him.
Till she threw it out. Yeah, I remember that.
And she threw it out. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump knows the key of having a loyal person in high places in the state where he is going to retire. It's a smart move. I didn't even realize that. And once it settled to say, oh, he needs Byron in that seat because this is where he's going to retire. This is where he plans to break some more laws and rules. And this Byron Donaldson will be forever beholden to him. And I want Black people to understand, they understand that we are enamored with when we're able to break through and have a first Black something. And we just go bananas over that. So while we are romanticizing the first, he is cackling and laughing all the way to the bank because he knows that that first Black person is his Trojan horse. It is his stooge. But we don't know that because we're not thinking through. We're not playing the game, the same game that he's playing. And that's what happened with Cannon. She did everything that he wanted. And even that valet sort of person that was working with him, that stuck with him, that would not turn coat on him, free. Everybody's free, right? Because they stuck with him in the way that they did. And he rewards that kind of loyalty. So that's not a hypothetical. It's not a hypothetical about influence. We watched it happen in real time in this state. He is setting it up through the governor for it to happen again.
So, Jeanette, I don't think I ever been a fan about him, and I definitely don't know too many politicians that I just love. Okay, I really did pour into Andrew Gillum and Barack Obama. I would say that. But other than that, I understand these people, whoever we get behind, I am getting behind them for them to do a job. But I've just never been, I don't have too many even uh, music icons that I just love.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, let's talk about this at work today because they're all saying, and I had to, pretty much tell my cousins what we're going to talk about tonight. Like, yeah, no, he is not. And particularly when he said what he said in Philadelphia, he could say that
Yeah.
Negroes had it better during Jim Crow. He could say that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's not a White House. His lineage don't uh, didn't come through the hell that we came through here
That's
in this American state. So, yeah. So I don't look at him as um, probably someone who married into the family, not even a distant cousin. He is someone who married into the family, and I probably have to tell my distant cousin, "What the fuck did you just do?" You know, so something like
Yeah.
that. But that's the pattern. What you just said, what we want you guys to be thinking about when it comes to the Donald governorship. Not rather he'll be historic because it will be historic because it will be the first white governor who have pushed. He will go even harder than I think a white governor will, just to show his daddy, as he said, um, I'm down for the cause. You know,
Yeah. Do you know?
but who he answered to when he's in that chair, it is going to be us. It's
Yeah.
going to be them, and it's going to be the donors. So
Yeah.
it is not going to be in our interest, and we'll be kicking ourselves in the butt for the next 4 years.
That's very true. But do you remember this story? Because of course you don't remember this, but the slaveholders used to have white overseers and black overseers. They really liked the black overseers better than they did the white ones because the black ones were trying so hard to please the overseers that they were extra cruel on the black workers in the field. Now, bring that into the workforce. I hate to say this, I come out of corporate America. The black management, who I think sometimes we affectionately called gatekeepers, are extra hard on people coming in to make black people coming in to make a request because they see themselves as the protector of the white man's corporation and what have you. We see that all the time. So it would be, and I'm pretty sure this happens, where black people will bypass the black person in charge, the middle manager, and go to a white person because that is where you're probably going to get something done. That pattern has lasted over now 400 years, and it's still at play, where even Donald Trump and the oligarchs understand to control Florida, where he will be living, they need to get a black overseer because he will be so grateful. He will do everything to please them. And that is going to be to totally bankrupt and destroy the state of Florida. This pattern has repeated itself over and over and over. And here we are facing it. And we're having discussions about his skin color. Well, so are they, but they're using it to their advantage, not yours. And just what you saw with Clarence Thomas, I don't think that you're going to be able to tell me that as he gets ready for retirement, all the great things that he did for Black advancement, I'm pretty sure I'm going to wait on it. Tell me what he's done for us. And Tim Scott, ask the South Carolinians, Black ones, what has he done for them? When they get in those seats, they understand who put them there and they understand where the money comes from. And they will be so beholding. So I don't want us to, just because he's not even a light-skinned Black, he's a dark-skinned Black, all the better, all the better. So I just want us to understand.
See, Byron understands the assignment. We just don't. we tend to get so, we're too emotional because he understands the assignment. And he knew what that assignment was, and he knew what he had to do, and he knew, and he was willing to make those compromises when he got into the Republican Party. That was a sound decision this man made, that he wanted, and we could say, I don't think he would have been able to climb that fast in the Democratic Party. So
No way.
So I can almost understand when they go into into the Republican Party, when they have an aspiration for political life. You see what Angie is getting. You don't see the success of Blackness at top levels that much in the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party. But
That's right.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So that's why he did that. But look at we have to look at who's actually cutting the checks, right? Because we've been doing that when we was looking at the candidates. We said we're going to see where the donor money coming from, who are these people, where's the lobbyists, and all of that. And that pretty much told me a story, right? So Donald's biggest bikers, Jeannette, and I was sure they are Trump-owned donors. They're from his network.
Yep.
A different party, a different office entirely. You got Hakeem Jeffrey has taken well over $1 million from AIPAC and
Yep.
Allied Pro-Israel Donor Network.
We're
All
going to
these
talk.
all these people are connected,
So we're
and
going to talk about that.
we got to talk. We got to do a show about helping people understand socialist and what it means.
Absolutely.
We
So,
are really voting in against our own self
mhm.
by letting these people direct the narrative. Socialist is bad, communist, this stuff, you know, that is not what this is.
Yeah, they're so smart. They're so smart, and dare I say to us as Black
Well,
people,
hold on. Are
they
they,
are.
hold on. Are they so smart or are we just so dumb? Because because they're not smart. It's just that I'm thinking we are just so dumb.
All right. Either way, they're so cunning. Let me say it that way. They are so cunning that we can't seem to get beyond what you just said, the emotion of the moment. Oh, we're going to have a first Black governor of Florida, which is full of emotion. A first Black president that was full of emotion. A first Black Supreme Court justice that was full of emotion, right? But it was easier because we knew the policy would help. And sometimes, even within that, we were disappointed, right? But we could see at least the record, the receipts to get that person there were in enough alignment that we could embrace that first. This is a first that is as plain as the nose on our faces. This one is not ours. And Trump and the wealthy people that are backing him know that this one is not yours, but you're not going to know that. And we're going to sneak him in like a Trojan horse. I'm going to keep saying that because if you didn't see the movie, you need to go see it. You'll have to understand how Troy was totally fooled by thinking they got something. And then those people came out of that horse and destroyed that city. Bingo. That's what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking about here. Trump understood how loyal Byron Donalds has been to him, despite the fact that he what did he call him at a campaign? My African American. So, is this the pattern? The first as a strategy. Think about that. And I'm asking us to really begin thinking strategically and begin developing our own strategies rather than relying on even the Democrats. Black people, you are in a war and you don't even know it. And you don't even know it. So before we move to the grid, because I got a grid, and we're going to make some comparisons of Donaldson versus Jolly versus even Trump, because Trump was a Trojan horse that came in and nobody really realized it. And he has totally destroyed not just the United States, but the world order has been destroyed by one man as a Trojan horse because so many people hated Black people being in control in the United States. And I need you guys, I need you to just hang with us here. Let's see, we got EA Ford, Americans read on a sixth grade level. We don't know the meaning of socialism, capitalism, or any other ism. That's true, very true. And let's see, let me do one more before I get into propaganda. Propaganda is strong in the USA. True that. I mean, when I was a little kid and I was pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and I learned so many, I was an Army brat. I learned so many patriotic songs. It just is crazy. But you are absolutely, absolutely right about that. But we're woke now. Now, we're woke now. So before we get into the grid, we want to name something.
So, Jeanette, I think that is what we're hoping to do on this podcast. Wake
Mhm.
people up. Because it is a few of us are woke, but I don't I feel that more men, black men, are looking because if you notice on Facebook, not too many black women saying they're gonna get behind Byron. It's black men.
It's
And I
what?
don't and I don't know what they're looking I don't know what they're looking for because surely you can't be a FBA talking about you're gonna get behind that little snotty nosed punk calling some white man his daddy and didn't let him degrade him when he was on that stage. I remember he just asked, my little African, like he's the plantation owner and you're his property. That's
Yeah,
what I thought of when I saw that.
that's right. It's one of the reasons that I mentioned it because I feel like there are too many symbols out there to tell us what they think of us. And now that they have figured out, can you mute? And now that they have figured out the one thing that's going to dupe the black Floridians, and that is to put a black person against the white person that the Democrats are going to put up. They're not going to ask policy questions. They're just going to be enamored with the first black Florida governor. And I want you guys to rest with that because the first has become a strategy for the right. They have figured you out. They have figured out your weak spot, our weak spot. So I want us to just really name something. We want to name something bigger than this one race, and we're going to leave it as an open question rather than hand you a verdict tonight. We want to begin the conversation, or at least interject into the conversation a new idea beyond skin color. What could possibly be at play, and can we be outmaneuvered in such a way that it's too late by the time November 4th rolls around? I know the voting's on November 3rd, but if we wake up on November 4th and Trump and them are all going out to have beer and they're slapping each other's back, we're going to say, what, wait a minute, right? I do not want us to get there. I don't want us to get there. So,
Are you going to show the grid?
I'm going to start showing the grid.
Okay.
So I'm moving pieces around again. So we'll show that first one. I think I numbered them so that if I don't see it, you can see it. Trying to do this. And you guys, thanks for the comments tonight. One is here. So I really want us to understand that party affiliation is important. And Mona's already said, well, one's been a party affiliated, didn't make a change until recently, and the other one. But Byron Donaldson is currently with the Republican Party. David Jolly is currently with the Democrat Party. Byron registered as a Democrat. He was registered as a Democrat until 2010, which is some 16 years ago. And he left that to join the Tea Party. And we're going to put this on our website so you guys will have this grid so that you can look at who's who. But he left it to join the Tea Party, which of course was a precursor to MAGA, right? Uh,
What kind of BS is that for a brother? Tell me. That's why. That's why. Skin folk. Skin. What's the saying? Just
Skinfolk ain't
all
kinfolk.
skin. Yes, because I don't know any Adolfs. I don't know any Adolfs. Even on the Republican side, any Adolfs. And when I say Adolfs, guys, I mean African American descendant of slavery. Anybody who lineage goes all the way back to slavery here will not have joined the Tea Party. I know a lot of Republicans and black Republicans that I can respect who could stand up and talk truth to power. But that
Mhm.
when I saw that, I wasn't even aware that. But that was because of his wife. I'm sure of that. But that's what I'm saying. He got no backbone. She would
Yeah.
know that white woman. Yeah, I'm not joining. They want to hang all of our black asses. What? I mean, that was the craziest thing.
Yeah, I think he met his wife after that. I did ask about that, and then I decided I didn't want to talk about his personal relationships because we all know the story about the black girlfriend and then the know the black wife while he was in at Florida State. Go knows at Florida State, and then he meets the white girlfriend and gets her pregnant and all kinds. I'm not really sure how all of that played out. All I wanted to talk about tonight was in 2010, after Barack Obama was president, and he was disillusioned with the whole bank bailout stuff, and he decided he would join the Tea Party. um, and then that's him. So he shifted from Democrat to Republican, albeit 16 years ago. David Jolly, because we have an issue with the switching of the parties. And so David Jolly was elected to Congress as a Republican in 2014. I got my notes down here, guys. He left the GOP in 2018 and became an independent, where he co-founded the Forward Party in 2022. When he left in 2018, he decided to become a never Trumper. He did not vote for Trump in that 2016 election. He was one of those never Trumpers. Um, so he registered with the Democrat in April of 2025. So he was an independent for 8 years. And then in 2025, when he decided he would run for presidency. And here's something that is of note, and I'm giving this to you, Mona. When independents decide they're going to run for the presidency, Bernie Sanders, they move out of independent status and they go into Democrat status. They have to go into one of the two parties if they're going to be taken seriously. It is the move that is made, it has been established.
So
Um,
let me. I don't know if it's a correction or just a question. David Jolly did he run for president or did he change when he was running just for governor?
I don't, did he run
Yeah,
for president?
but you said he changed in 2025, but you meant governor.
I meant governor, because if I said president, it's like my mistake. But oh, I see what I said. When folks change, and I only know of the presidency, they tend to, well, I could say the mayor here, who was a Republican and then decided that she was going to run for mayor in a Democrat city. So what did she do? She changed her hat and became a Democrat. That seems to be the way to go if you understand the landscape. And for because independence is not a real established party. I see even some Democrats who are obviously independent, but they know in order to get elected, they have to wear the Democrat hat, even though they're truly not. So it sounds like I'm sort of speaking for Jolly on this one. But his switch, I would say, you could say, has been gradual. It's been values based, never Trumper. And it's been over a 7-year period where he was an independent before he actually decided to make that move. Now, I want to talk about Trump here because y'all need to understand this has already happened before, right? Trump is currently a Republican, but he switched to become a Republican in 2009, some 17 years ago, most recent of the several historical switches, because he's been switching a lot. And if you know Trump, yes, you kind of say that figures. So he ran once before for presidency unsuccessfully in 1999, 2000. And he ran under the Reform Party, but he withdrew. Some mess with Pat Buchanan at the time. He has since then floated runs, and y'all know every election cycle you hear, is Trump going to run? And everybody would laugh because it'd be a joke to everybody, and he wouldn't actually run. But he floated in 1987 and 88, in 2004, in 2008, and 2012. And then in 2016, he came down that escalator. All right. There's a lot of party switching that goes on over time, in most cases, as a result of a disenchantment with your party, as in the case of Jolly, over time. But you got anything to say on that? Because I'm going to move on to ideological shifts.
No, just that I remember hearing when they used to ask Donald Trump, and he said, "Yeah, well, if I ever decide to run, I'm going to run as a Republican because they're the stupidest people, and I can do that." But
I looked that up. I looked that up because if you can put it on mute, I want to make the statement. I looked that up because I think that's one of the best statements ever. And Snopes debunked it, and several others did as well, that they could never really find anything that proved that he in fact made that statement. So it would have been here, but I couldn't put it in because I could not substantiate that. But I heard that as well.
Well, I'm going to have to find it because it said that. But I like that grid there, right? And I think what we need from our audience and what we think Black voters have to sit with, right? And it goes across, as you said, all party lines, not just this race. This is their new strategy to draw to real Black advancement.
Yeah.
Have the powerful donor network on both sides. Learn that backing a Black first, I guess, is depending on them for funding. Is a more effective vehicle for their goals than backing maybe say a white candidate. But that doesn't always play, because if that was the case, why is Angie Nixon having so much problem?
Yeah. So I'm going to move to the second graph. And this one, if I'm a Democrat and I become a Republican, am I making some ideological shifts in my thinking? And am I credible as a Republican? And I decided to use abortion as the litmus test for each one of these. So Byron Donaldson, who is a Republican, is pro-life. No stated exceptions beyond current Florida law, says he'd stay the same as what's in place now on Florida's 6-week ban as governor. And he has actually an A+ rating from SBA Pro-Life America. David Jolly, again, who was Republican, who is now Democrat. And this is something that's really important that people really understand. He supports right now today codifying Roe Casey into state law. So he supports codifying. Abortion, he believes, should be permitted to viability with medical exceptions, and parental involvement for minors with abuse exceptions, which is pretty much in line where the Democrats are today. He was not that way when he was a Republican. He is that way, but it has been what a 16-year shift in his moving away from the Republican ideals. But Donald Trump, and I think it's important that we look at Donald Trump has 2 terms as the presidency. He used to be a Democrat, and those Republicans embraced him fully. And when he did move over into the Republican territory, he basically delivered for them in such a way that Black people are now fighting for their survival. That's how much he delivered as a Republican, not as a Democrat. He just ditched all of those ideals and he went and he's delivered. So he right now is taking credit for Roe's fall through his SCOTUS picks, because that was a litmus test for his SCOTUS picks, according to the Federal Society. And the abortion policy, he has stated, and this is where he straddles the fence a little bit, that he's not making a federal law, but he kind of says, well, let's leave it up to the states. I know I don't have a good impression of the way he speaks, but abortion policy should be left to the states. He is going to be overridden and pushed on that if we do not, as a Black community, as Democrats, and I know I'm not Democrat, I'm independent, if the Democrats do not figure this out. But right now, that's his policy. But he is taking full credit for where we are today with women losing their rights to abortion care. Reversal on record. For Byron, there was no reversal found. He's been consistent the whole time. With David Jolly, yes, as a Republican member of Congress, said life began at conception. Now describes views as evolved, supporting abortion rights. And for Donald Trump, and this is one of those infamous moments on television where he said, yes, at a town hall on MSNBC, he told Chris Matthews, if you guys remember, that women who obtain should have some form of punishment. And later he reversed that to say, well, maybe not. Maybe it could be only the providers. So that's a litmus test on, if I'm a Democrat, a Republican today, and I turn into a Democrat, do I follow the Democrat? Can you trust me to follow the ideals of the Democrat? And I guess that's why I wanted to look at that. Any thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm. So do we believe Jolly the first time, or do we believe, and I do believe people could grow, people could change their minds. And like you said, it's been 16 years since he's been a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, as soon as I said that, I just thought to myself, I have, as I gotten older, so I don't know what his reason is, because I remember when he stood on the floor and he was hard going in, and he wasn't even a MAGA Republican. He was just a Ronald Reagan Republican, a Bush Republican. There were some nasty Republicans, and that's who he was.
Yeah. It's a team. It's a team jersey, like you like to say.
So do these people have any ethos, any morals, any standards, anything they believe, or do they just move with the wind? You don't have to answer it.
Okay, I won't answer that, but I will go to the third one on voting rights. But I do want to say to Kevin Beckham, I think I agree tax policy would be a good litmus test as well. We are going to research that and we'll add that to the Facebook page as well so that people can look on our page to look and compare. So consider that one of the litmus tests.
Jeanette, let me say this. Hey guys, and we've been reaching out to his campaign. We're trying to get him on the show. I mean, I don't think we should have to keep begging or pleading for these people to come on the show. So maybe you guys could type him and tell him that you want to see an interview. You want to see him sit down with We Are Black Independent. That'll help us.
Yeah, that would help us. The next one actually is voting rights, guys. But for some reason, I did not pull voting rights in. I knew I was going to just mess that up somewhere. And I'm going to try to, let me just say quickly on the John Lewis voting rights. Byron was a sitting House member when it passed 219 to 12 on a strict party line vote in 2021. 0 Republicans had yes votes on that one. His individual vote needs a direct clerk house roll call, but the fact that we said it was straight line, party line, it was likely in the GOP in the no category. So it was a no for him on voting rights.
Let me stop you on that one too, because his black ass wouldn't even be in the United States without our ancestors fighting to clear the path for his people to come over. And that's
but he could be just doing all of this to sneak all the way up into the presidency someday, and then he just overturns everything and black people are in control. Okay. So David Jolly, the Democrat, the Republican turned Democrat, genuinely had no opportunity. He left Congress in January of 2017. HR 4 wasn't introduced until 2021. Clean factual, it's a not applicable, and it's not a dodge. So when he comes to Tampa and any one of us are in the audience, that is a clear question. Pin him down on the Voting Rights Act. And I wasn't able to find anything on that. Donald Trump, because he's the presidency, this is an executive, not legislative function. There's no direct vote. But his administration's posture has been generally in opposition to federal pre-clearance style voting legislation as overreach. We all know this, right? January 14th, and it kind of goes on with his issues with John Lewis, including when John Lewis died, he was in the state, what is it called? The state, called presidency, talk Black Atlanta, horrible shape. He did not attend the funeral or view him lying in state. He just refused to acknowledge John Lewis, which tells you a lot about his views on the Voting Rights Act in his name. Okay, you're going to say something because you opened up your mute.
I was just going to say he was in the state Rotundo where he laid in state.
Yeah. All right. So
for it because he didn't even want to offer it to him.
No, he didn't. He didn't. So even naming the bill after John Lewis was something definitely he would have vetoed. And that would have put him on record. So I'm going to go to voting rights, not voting rights, but key supporters and coalition building pattern. And for me, it's who surrounds the person. So you got Byron Donalds. He got Trump's endorsement in February of 2025 before Donalds even announced, which cleared the field pretty much. House Speaker Mike Johnson got right behind him, as did Rick Scott, Chamber of Commerce, Florida Retail Federation. Trump clearing the GOP field for Donalds mirrors the base insurgent first establishment reluctantly follows the pattern that was built for him when Banfield sort of cleared the field with the base for him. So he was doing pretty much the same thing. DeSantis notably did not and does not endorse Donalds at all. There's some issues there for real. David Jolly, Gwen Graham.
But DeSantis also did not even endorse his lieutenant governor, and we have
That's
to
true.
figure out, we have to figure out why. I mean, come on, little DeSantis, you gotta draw a line and stick in it, or do he think his name carries no more weight now? And that's
No.
not true. So
He wanted his wife in that role,
mm,
and he's mad.
yeah, ain't
I'm just
nobody
saying.
have his wife and then have him back in the governor's mansion. Is just no.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But David Jolly immediately, because he knew as a former Republican, he was going to need to build some creds. So what does he do? He looks around and he pulls Gwen Graham in as a running mate early. He did that early, kind of pissed some people off because they have a history with Gwen running against Andrew Gilliam and not necessarily supporting his run after she lost to him. But Gwen Graham was supposed to be sort of that security blanket that he needed as he declared his run for governorship. He was also surrounded. Former Florida House Speaker Paul Renner he's a Republican, crossed party lines to endorse him. And of course, he has full support from the state Democratic Party infrastructure. But if you look at what happened with Trump in 2016, and I keep wanting to bring us back to that, because Republicans always come home in the end, right? And I'm looking at Byron Donaldson. Republicans, please do not think that if Byron doesn't have the support up front after this primary over the next 70 days, watch to see if the Republicans come home. So beware, Democrats. I don't care what his numbers look like going as a result of this primary. It will not be that way in the general. Democrats, pay attention. So in 2016, Breitbart under Steve Bannon championed his insurgent candidacy early. Establishment resisted hard. Romney called him a phony and a fraud before reluctantly falling in line. There's a pattern here. It is continuous. It always works that way with the Republicans. The 2024 cycle, party consolidated behind him faster, but mega donor class split early before drifting back post indictments. And we saw it both times. I believe that's going to happen with Donalds. Yes, he's a black man. And yes, there's a lot of folks, especially in rural Florida, that do not like him or want him. But watch all of them go home. And if black voters are thinking, oh, we got a first, and you are padding that, he's in like nobody's business, and all of you will be disappointed on November 4th. That's my take. That's just my take. Your thoughts on that?
So I want to look up how many black Republicans are registered. I'm gonna put that down in Florida, because I don't see too many of us crossing party line to vote for Donald because people are going. We're going to start telling that story, his history. We're not voting because we're just not that dumb just to be voting because you're black, and everybody's would be saying. It's one guy on my Facebook page. He's going black, but I think he's a Republican, and even now he's still a huge Trump supporter. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to call anyone out for whatever um, reason one stays in that party or one believe in Trump. That's just them. But I don't think, and you and I, we're independent. I too have voted for Republicans, but it will be pretty hard this election. I often throughout the day I was thinking about Project 2025
Mm-hmm.
when me and you discovered that,
Yeah.
and we realized what was what they had planned. And do you realize almost 90% of that stuff is done?
Yes, I do.
I just hope that most of it could be reversed. I'm not sure.
Well, I want to make the point, and I want to get right into Project 2025, just as you mentioned it. But in terms of the funding stream, and I'm going to answer what you said because I agree with you. Um, Byron Donalds has $111 million as of August 17th, actually. Got that wrong.
Wait a minute.
111.
He has 111 million, $100 million. Do you have 111 million?
No, 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 no. Hear me out. 111 million as of August 17th. 99 million from Friends of Byron Donalds PAC. And I said that wrong earlier, guys, so I'm coming back. Confirmed top Donalds PAC donors, Richard Euline, and where he got 1 million from Tom Petterflee, and 1 million are both, and from Euline and then Petterflee, 1 million, are both top tier national Trump mega donors. Um, there's no APAC or Jewish donor specific giving found in this pass, and that's not verified either way. So I don't know, but that's a lot of money coming from Donald Trump's key donors. David Jolly, and I said 1 million, but it's actually David Jolly has 10 million total between campaign account and PAC, roughly a 10-to-1 deficit to Donald's, if you can, easy math. By contrast, top reported donors are individual max out contributors, Donald Sussman, Barbara Stifel, rather than a single PAC vehicle. Campaign frames its money as mostly small donations. So that's significant. That's a significant difference. 10-to-1, 111 million versus 10 million. But to your point on APAC, unless you want to make a comment on that.
I do want to make a comment on that, but we've been seeing all over the states money alone is not winning these campaigns. But a
Yep.
100 million, you got to see. That's what I'm saying. We spend all this money, and when we realize that we could waste $100 million for you to run to be the gov, 100 million. I just asked Chad because I was like, yeah, I don't believe that. So I'm just typing it in, and yeah, $103 million. I mean, I don't know why I doubt you, but $103 million cheaper. All right.
Yep. Okay. All right. But to your point on APAC, and I'm going to kind of jump all the way down to the bottom. APAC basically created a document for anybody who came into the presidency would adopt what they were suggesting in terms of running the country. And Trump was the perfect patsy for their document. So he takes it, he denies A1 that he has anything to do with it, and that's not him, that's other people. And what he does, campaign position, here's what Trump said. Trump repeatedly disavowed the document, Project 2025, by name in 2024 during his campaign. And he said, I have no idea who is behind it, called some proposals ridiculous. He was just trying to make you think he just didn't know about it and it was stupid and whatever else. He said that at a debate, he was not going to even read it. This is real and on record. It's not a spin, right? He said that. So let's talk about what he actually did once he was in the presidency. He appointed Russell Vought, a lead Project 2025 architect. He had no idea who these people were, but he appointed him, one of the lead architects, to run the Office of Management and Budget, to run our money, right? Also brought in Stephen Miller and Thomas Homan for immigration policy, both aligned with the document's priorities. He brought the actual authors of the document into his administration to, in fact, do what you just said, and that is, over the last 2 years, implement just about 90%. And so what else did he do? On January 2025, when he got into office, Trump, he signed an executive order banning, because this is what Project 2025 said, banning DEI across federal agencies, matching Project 2025's delete DEI language directly. Multiple fact checkers, and it just gave me a whole lot of fact checking as to how that came about. And then to summarize, and I need you guys to understand that, because Trump has just put, and his cronies put $11 million behind Byron Donalds to become governor of Florida, the state where he will retire in, for protection of Mar-a-Lago and all the corruption that will likely happen there. If that's not one of the best chess moves I've ever seen, I don't know what is.
Well, I don't necessarily know it's a chess move versus how I'm looking at stuff now, right? Because Trump too sold his soul and has been bought. Anytime when you look at the three assassination now, they're saying that these things were inside warning shots to him to get back in line, to do what we bought you to do. We bought you to push our agenda. Brian has to be very careful, or we'll be finding him like Charlie Kirk. Because you can't take this kind of money and think you could come in here and start thinking for yourself. You can't take that kind of money and then think you could have an idea that you could now have conscious.
Of course.
Of course. So, and sometimes you do grow a conscience. I believe that's what happened to Charlie Kirk, because we know Robert Tyler Robinson did not shoot Charlie Kirk, but he started pushing back against Israel, against the genocide, against the war. And these people says, I mean, like it said, 80 million friends of Byron. I was like, well, goddamn, what kind of friends you have? And I was just about to say, I would like those friends, but I would not, because all of that money means something. All of it means something. And if it doesn't
get you killed,
if it doesn't get you killed, it's going to destroy your soul. It's going to destroy your soul. So, wow.
Absolutely. So to summarize Trump, so that you understand the pond that Byron Donalds is swimming in, is a continuation of what we have going on in DC right now. And once Trump is out of office and he retires back here, if he controls the governorship You folks in Florida, your lives will not get better. It just will not. So Trump, let me summarize, disavowed the Project 2025 document by name. That's what he told you guys. Then he staffed his administration with the people who wrote it. That's what he did. And several of its DEI civil rights proposals have already become actual executive action. That's a documented pattern that you can bet, and you could bet on, and you could actually vote on, because the person who is propping up Byron Donalds right now to this day is Donald John Trump, and he will control that. And if Byron steps out of line, like you said, there are sharpshooters ready to take him out. You don't accept that kind of money and not do the bidding of the people who put you there. That's what I need Black folks to understand. Unless you do something like Angie Nixon does, and you actually go out there and talk to the people and get the people behind you, you do not really have control over whatever it is that you are trying to do. And he has to know that. He knows that. But do you know that, voters? Do you understand who Byron Donalds is? Byron plays a very dangerous game.
Yes, he's playing a very dangerous game. Is his mother still alive? Do you know?
I did not see anything. I don't think I looked for that.
Because I don't understand how a Black mother, even from the Caribbean, would allow your child to get mixed up in this foolishness. Because she, from that playbook, how this is going to turn out.
Yeah. But
I look at what was the Black guy who was in the military under Bush? Colin Powell. And I remember in the end when Colin Powell started, it took him a long time to get there versus Michael Steele. And when he left the Republican Party, maybe 2 or 3 years later, but he died.
Yep.
Because all of that conscience was eating at him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So powerful donor networks, getting behind a Black candidate who carries the story of the first Black whatever, or the historic one, to get the Black vote, and then using that story to advance their own interests. They will not advance the interests of the Black community. And I need for us to understand that. Byron Donaldson is untouchable for Black folks. But you can put him in office. You can do that, but it will not be good for us. So here's what we think Black voters have to sit with. And it goes across party lines, not just this race, in this new strategy to thwart real Black advancement. Is this a new strategy to thwart real Black advancement? Do you think they are doing this on purpose to put a Black person in so that you don't spend the energy putting your own Black person in? Be careful, because Nixon is being successful, but they're going to attack her like nobody's business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was. I don't think enough whites will vote for Byron, and it's not going to be enough of us if 1, 2, 3% new Black men decide to go his route, maybe. But I'm not going to see. I don't believe it will be a high number, over 5% of Democrats voting for Byron. I don't see that.
I don't know. I don't know about the Democrats voting for Byron, but I don't trust the Republicans not going home.
No, I'm talking about Black Democrats. And white Republicans will.
I don't know.
White
let's
Republicans, we need to take a bet on it, and we don't generally bet, but I believe white Republicans will come over to support Jolly. Independents
well,
will support
he's
Jolly.
betting on that.
Yes, and of course the blacks, for the most part, are gonna vote Jolly, but I don't see that cross line firing. I don't see it.
Yeah. So folks, that's the question you really have to answer for yourselves. We're just trying to lay out what you might not be paying attention to, and we have to stop just looking at skins, the skin of the employee. You need to look the employee, the candidate. We really need to look at what are our issues. It's one of the reasons that we put together a slate, and it's another reason why we put together the priorities, not just local but also federal, because they need to know what we stand for and what we would negotiate with. We're always saying it's a negotiation. If it's not a negotiation, then it's a gift. Which one is it going to be? Are we going to negotiate for something, or are we just going to gift people with our vote? It's time for us to seriously entertain that question, especially since they're now playing the game of taking the black pieces on the chessboard and infiltrating them and using them against us. They did it with Clarence Thomas. Have we learned anything yet? Clarence is ending his time as Supreme Court Justice, and I can't name two things that he has done to advance Black life in America.
Um, yeah. So, do you think the Black Caucus have sat down with David Jolly and said, "Here's what we want"? Do you think that has happened? Because look, we do have a third option. Desmond Meade is in this race running as an independent, but we really don't have a third option because he waited too long to get to maybe even start campaigning, get his name out there, and then I think it would have probably made white America lose their mind. Two black men's running for governor. Yeah.
Y'all, y'all need to stop playing in my face. I just had to say that. I don't know why I said that. Desmond Meade, you are right. Waited too long. If the Black community is going to put somebody out there seriously, they need to identify them early, or you need to have somebody who's as serious as an Angie Nixon that doesn't give a damn about what you're saying about who she is or how she's going to do it. She's going to go out there and talk to the people herself. That van, that changing the tire on the side of the road, there's strategy in all of that. And it's worked for her. And I'm hoping that it works for her over the next 70 days or so. But, Kevin says Jolly needs to come with an agenda, pretty much what you just said for us as well. And no, he doesn't get a pass, but you don't get a pass either. You absolutely need to make some demands. You need to be in the room asking the questions, putting him on record, and begin the negotiation. I don't mean you personally, I mean you Black folks. What is your agenda, and when will you start making demands instead of being quiet till the person gets in the seat? Then you try to make demands and they pretty much ignore you. That cannot happen this time. Jolly knows that. So he doesn't get a pass to answer your question.
Well, I think Jolly might feel that.
Well, hopefully he's watching the show.
I will send it to him, and I think that he or his team might say, "You Negroes don't have an option. Where you gonna go? Then what do you do?" And we're too afraid to do what we might need to do, either cross party lines or vote down ballot. particularly if we do not get a sit down, or not necessarily us, but if we ask the state black caucus, have y'all talked to this guy? What are we getting for our vote? Because those Negroes, because most of them, we got a lot of work to do, Jeanette. Because what I noticed in the caucus, a lot of those people are not ADOS, and the people who's running it, and that's a
That's
problem.
true. That's true.
And I'm not saying that all don't understand the issue, but we cannot let them come in just like we can't let white people tell our narrative. We cannot let non ADOS or non FBAs fight for us because they're not fighters. And that's the problem, because I could see these people, the person over the Democratic Party, particularly like Angie Nixon, is only talking about kitchen table issues. Nothing socialist about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
She is talking about things that affect in our everyday life. And if we don't realize that, we're going to wake up um, 4 years, 8 years from now, and we're going to say, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Because we don't have fighters. And when we have fighters, we don't support them.
We do not. We do not. But I, I think Angie Nixon is an example of where we're going. Um, I think that you mentioned that we need to be able to go the alternative if we don't get our demands met. But I think a lot of us stayed home in that last election. So the Democrats really understand that a lot of us staying home caused us to end up with another 4 years of Trump, and we have lost a great deal. So I think we're here in that space of listen to the black Democrats, if you will, or listen to black people, or it will only get worse. I believe we are here. The problem is black people have to believe we are here. And that's where I think the breakdown is. We are still putting in candidates or voting in people who are using the old playbook, the old way of doing things, rather than those like an Angie Nixon who's pushing. David Jolly is also taking from Angie's playbook. I'm listening to him. Listen to me here. I'm listening to him talk about kitchen table issues, and he is trying to get away from the labels. Now, the media is pushing the labels on, and he's answering them, or I'm not this and I'm not that. But when he talks about what he's for, it is pretty much what Angie Nixon is saying, which is what the people want. So he is trying to navigate how, because he's going to need the voters that Angie brings to the table. She will be the ones that bring the black voters in, and he knows that. He's going to need her, but he can't alienate the Democrats. So he's got a really interesting road to follow, because they want to say, but she's a DSA, she's a DSA. And he's like, he's against the DSA. But he talks about where they, just like she does, I think he's learning where they agree, and that is the kitchen table issues, if you will. And if he can figure out how to navigate that, and he and Angie, because Angie said she is going to work with anybody who talks about these issues right here. And she doesn't get into the labels. Black people, you got to get away from the labels. You must get away from the labels, because that is going to be the death of you. And you will not be able to get your demands met, because The demands do not have labels. They're just demands for Black people, so for the quality of our life. Stop allowing them to label us as liberal or radical or whatever else. They're just demands that will probably help everybody, but we're just calling them our stuff. But we need to get away from the labels, I guess is all I want to say there. Go ahead, because I can see you want to say something.
I think I forgot. But
I'm sorry.
it was going to be something about Jolly with Angie to say that he doesn't agree with DSA. What don't you agree with? Because the average American, be they black, white, what Angie is talking about, that is what affecting the average in America, Floridian life. So he will have to get on board. Now, she will benefit from him as well, because when he goes to North Florida, those voters will hopefully, and for the life of me, I don't understand why these poor white people will even cross over and vote for, say, like Ashley Moody, because they know the hell they're catching. I went to the gas station today, and I go to BJ's, right? So I took a picture, and I was supposed to post it. Maybe I'll do it. And I was like, "What? Gas is $4.38 at BJ." I was like, and you can't complain because I mean you got to get it.
Yeah,
but but I did bitch a little when I saw it. I was like, well, I put the pump back in the um in the cradle and got my phone to take a picture. Right? Said, wow, $4, and that's at BJ. So it's always about 20 cents cheaper there than at a regular gas station. And I have to use premium, but still $4.38. And and I think I've seen something on Facebook where this white guy looked like a hillbilly. Says, so what if I had to pay $10 more in gas? Okay, but it's not just that, because it's $10 a week. That's 40 just for the gas. You're paying another maybe $30 more a week in groceries. That's $120 a month. The shit adds up. Your light bill is ridiculous. Are you freaking kidding me? But they will die on that sword, for they won't say they made a mistake by supporting Trump. They're willing to die on it.
Yeah, they are. But you know what? I want to go down to the real play on 16. So I'm telling you where I moved to, because I'm going to skip through a lot of this. Whether or not Donald Trump professionally or personally sat down and really mapped out this play that I'm suggesting, that Donald Trump is like 5 steps ahead of us, and he is putting Donalds in place so that he can control the state of Florida. Come on, y'all. It's probably plausible, definitely. Um, Here's what's true regardless. The strategy will serve him. Donalds gets in, that strategy is going to serve him, not you. A donor network built to elect him is now funding a Black Republican nominee in the state where he actually lives. If that nominee wins, Trump gets a governor whose campaign owes that same network. That's not a conspiracy theory, folks. That's just how obligations and coalitions work. And that's what's happening here. You are not the one putting Byron Donaldson in that seat. If you gave him your $5 or $25, okay. But that $111 million, I'm telling you where the money is coming from. It is not the Black community. So Byron Donalds is not your person. He is not the governor for you. And here's what we think that money is for. Heading into November, not just electing Donalds. Did you want to say something? Because I hear my echo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was no go.
And then I was going to get a drink, but okay, I got you. So, not just electing Donalds outright, but doing one of two things to Black voters specifically. Either move enough of us towards Donalds because he'd be the first, because we would be so enamored with that, or convince enough of us that neither man is worth showing up for, so we stay home. Either outcome protects the same interest, and that is the interest of Donald Trump and the wealthy in this state. So right now,
Hold on, Jeanette. Let me just say this because you said what Donald's got the same thing that Trump got when he became president. He is now a billionaire. The president didn't benefit nobody but him, his lobbyists, and APAC. That is the craziest thing. And I don't
mhm,
understand why we can't see that. That none of these people, none of middle white America has benefited. Um, the average America has benefited from Trump president, like he said.
right,
And that is what I think. These black men, this one black guy, look at him. Oh, Trump is a smart business guy. Yeah, but Trump has never looked out for nobody but himself. Have you benefited from that? Have you
yeah,
done well? And you have not. But their lies say they have.
I know,
And we have to understand that these people who have written him over $100 million check that they want to return. They're just like giving out that money. They got to get a return, and that
yeah,
return is in Florida. That return going to be these data centers that they want. That return is going to be everything that is against us, and I don't understand how people don't see that. I don't understand how white people don't see that. I don't understand how any of us. We I'm not a fan of Charlie, but I do understand that he is the better candidate.
absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So there, Mona, there's a University of North Florida poll from July that had Donald's at just 6% support among Black voters, 77 points behind Jolly in a head to head. So, whatever the play is, it hasn't landed yet. So, there's a window that is open to have this conversation. We need to have it so that it doesn't close. That's exactly why we're doing this segment now, not in October, once the barbershops and the basketball court ads from Donalds is floating the airwaves, vying for the black vote. And Mona, I liken that to the gold tennis shoes that Trump did. You're going to start seeing commercials, more commercials of Byron and his boys on the basketball court because he knows that's going to appeal to black men. And you're going to start seeing him sitting in a barbershop chair, talking to black barbers and whatever else. Watch how they come for you because they know how important it will be for you to think you are putting this man in that seat. They know they're going to lose some of those folks that you just talked about, that all white voters are not going to come home. They've got to make that up with black men in particular, and they're going to do that through ads. He's got $100 million to spend on getting our black men to think that Byron is on their side, to make them think that they are.
So we're gonna have to maybe counter that with um, asking our black men, "Are you stupid?" For them not to even pushback when he was in, well, where was he, in Philadelphia, when he said um, black families did better during Jim Crow. I believe
Yep.
it was Philadelphia, somewhere like that. And those men, he was having a men's conversation. I don't even know if it was in a barbershop, but I remember saying,
Yeah.
he can't speak for us because what the fuck do he know what it was like doing Jim Crow? He wasn't even born. His mother, his grandmother, his great grandmother, every generation down didn't live through the hell that these men know that their parents and their grandparents told them what it was like doing Jim Crow. What is he talking about? He could say that stuff because that is the talking point for Black Americans who are Republicans. That is their
Yeah.
talking points when they want to move up the political ladder in the Republican Party. And so this is why we have to push back and say, no, you don't speak for us. You're not Adolf. You might be black in color. That's it. But for us to even agree with that, and for the black men I do see on Facebook, I just pity them who who pushing this narrative that they want to vote for this man. He think you are beneath him.
I know, but these are some of our friends that are saying this.
That's why I say I pity them, and I and maybe they might be trying to look for the same opportunity. The grifters, maybe they might be trying to look for the same opportunity he had, right? That Byron has got. Um, and I don't know, and I have very little respect for black men who play this game. And
Yeah.
as I know a whole lot of black Republicans. Black Republicans means in my family, but they are stand up guys, and they will say, because we've had conversation about what he said, and everybody calls it yes. But for
Hmm.
those who just say that's not what he was trying to say, that is what he was trying to say, because that is a talking point from
Yeah. So I would say, let's say this plainly, because we've said the black vote is a negotiation. You and I, we say that all the time. It's not a gift. I don't even know where that came from. I think it was from you, and I love it. Um, so we say it all the time on this show. And tonight we want to make sure nobody mishears what that actually means, especially with this race um, for the governorship of the state of Florida. Voting for Byron Donalds because he would be the first black governor with no other reason attached. That's a gift. That's all it is. You are giving your vote away for a symbol. And we've done that many times before as a black community. But that's what it is. It's not a negotiation. You would be giving it away as a gift. And I'll say that it's the same. I'm
yeah. Be
quiet
watching.
because I know you want to say something.
Be watching out for that. And what we could also let even Democrats know moving forward, people are waking up, and we don't want any more symbolism, right? We want action. We want results. We don't need to like you. We don't need to love you. Politics is about rights and resource. Simple as that. Who's going to go in there and fight for your rights and bring back resources? That is what I'm looking for in a candidate.
Yeah.
And even on the Democratic side is why we're going to say we keeping scorecard. If you're not there fighting for the people's right and bringing back resources to your district, you're a seat warmer.
Yeah, but that's true for David Jolly as well, because I think there are going to be some black people that also give away the vote as a gift to David Jolly, and for no other reason attached except that he has a D next to his name. That's also a gift, and you're giving away your vote for a default because you're maybe too lazy to do the research or to have the negotiation or to push for what it is Black folks need. So a negotiation means neither man gets your vote for free. That's it. So we might have talked about Byron Donalds a lot tonight, but we're also talking about Jolly. Do not give the vote away for free, Black people. You, as a group, are going to have to negotiate with both. Now, I happen to think it's likely going to be with Jolly, but it's a negotiation nonetheless. And right now, I don't feel like, especially since the Black Caucus sat out for the primary, I don't feel like we're positioning ourselves to negotiate with the candidates. So it means they have to earn it, specifically by answering whatever your demands or your priorities are. And in our case, we have the
Hold on.
WABI 8 the priority list.
I don't see it down here. Do you have it on?
I don't have it up. I don't have it.
But we do
I'm
always post it and we continue to post it.
right. It's will be on the Facebook page for sure. So we're 10 weeks out from November, people. November 3rd. No negotiation by the Black community with the candidates before. Then isn't caution. It's and that with the candidates before then isn't caution and it isn't patience. It's outright negligence. I have to pause on that one because that's exactly what it is. Plain and simple. Every week between now and election day is a week either one of these campaigns could be sitting across the table from you. And if you're not asking anything of them, if you're not negotiating, you're just waiting to be handed a verdict. You are just gifting your vote with absolutely no expectations. And I want us to be clear about where the actual leverage sits because it's not where people assume $10 million against, and that's where I think I got that from. It's $111 million against $10 million, right? Trying to outfund that is dust in the wind. I don't believe that we as a Black race are going to be able to give the candidate with $10 million anything that's going to catch him up to the $100 million. That's not our power, and it's never going to be. The power is, and this is the hard part for us, because we're conditioned not to come together. The power is on the other side of the ledger. It's the collective vote. Guaranteed, organized, right? And traded specifically for real, tangible demands. That's where our power is, and that's where the leverage is. That block is worth millions on its own, because that's what the money does. The money does commercials and all kinds of mailers and that type thing that you get in your mail and you go, oh, wow, I really hate that candidate, or, oh, I really like that candidate. But what if it comes to you and it doesn't matter because you're a part of a collective block vote that the candidate who gives you the tangible demands will receive no matter what? That's where your leverage is. No campaign can buy it outright. It has to be earned block by block and demand by demand. That's exactly what Angie Nixon traded on. That's how she was able to overcome her deficit, not outspending anybody, organizing a vote that was hers to deliver and making candidates answer for it before she delivered it. What say you, Mona?
I like that, Jeanette. I like that. And one thing I do remember that Angie didn't even have to get ugly.
No,
She
not
focused
one time.
not one time. She focused on her campaign and did it. And we could look at all of these candidates that have done that. Mondani in New York, um, a dude in Michigan, you
Mm-hmm.
know, some of the big ones. So it is people, and we cannot let these people who we know, and I think the majority of us know, because we need to do a poll because I'm only thinking as the black men's, and I don't know why these black men's are having problems or issues. They have issues with their mother. What is going on here that they're going to get behind this black guy who said to leave the things? I don't know if he only said them because he had to, but then even that, how can you respect the man um, that will not stand up? I look at someone like Curtis Stokes. I like Curtis Stokes. I think he's man to man's right, but he's a Republican,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always had the utmost respect
He
for
is, but he's been speaking out against Republicans for the last 10 years.
yes, since Trump, because even before this, when stuff wasn't right, or when they say there's no racism, I've heard him in, yeah, it is. We have an issue. And that is just the truth. Now let's try to work and see what we can do about it. But criminal justice reform, do it need to be changed? Yes. It is still unequal justice in America? Yes. And if you can't say that, then that's a problem.
Yep.
That's what I see in these white men on the Republican side, um, giving them. Stephen A. Smith. Did you know that he wasn't else?
No, I did not know that.
That's why he could say what he could say. That's why he could say what he could say about Jasmine Crockett. He could say what he says about Michelle Obama. It's why he can say what he says, And
Yeah.
yeah, when he got the thumbs down award.
He's mad about that too. And he's mad about that. So, folks.
But hold on. Where did he go to air out his frustration?
Where did he go?
To his daddy's, too.
Oh,
He went to Fox News.
he did go to Fox. That's true. I did see that. So yeah, I'm gonna try to close because I think we're kind of trying to give you the model for what we think we need to do over the next 70 days, and I think Angie pretty much played out that model for us. But we need to figure out how to make our votes collective and not allow the money that they're going to be throwing everywhere. They're going to be throwing it at Jolly. Let's say Jolly and you get in a room and you negotiate. That's going to even mean more money gets thrown at Jolly. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to see golden sneakers everywhere. They're going to try to get our black male votes. And he's going to try to do it in a really classy way. So he's going to go to the barbershops and get a clean cut and shave and whatever else. And he's going to get some of the people that he thinks that you really respect, right? He's going to get a basketball and he's going to be all over the courts, but you cannot believe it. It is not true. It is to get you to vote for him so that he can get into the governor's seat, so that he can do Trump's bidding and every other millionaire who wants to use Florida to be their cash cow, which means you will not be included in that. That is how Trump has functioned even before the presidency. That is how he has functioned. You cannot believe that he is going to, as Omarosa, he will use your blackness to fool other black people. That's what he did with her. She wasn't anything in his administration.
Have we seen or heard from her? I haven't seen or heard from her
No.
since then. And um, and she would have killed us over that man.
That's
I
what he
can't
did
even
with.
remember what happened, but I remember when she got kicked out.
Yep. In the second administration, he had no use for Ben Carson either. He uses black people as props to fool other black people. Ask probably the guy who's doing HUD now, ex-football player. Ask Herschel Walker. He uses them as props. So, guys, that's really all I have this episode 104, which we started yesterday and finished today. We've Mona kind of noted this before. Mona and I have already sent David Jolly a formal interview invitation by email. Already done it, and it's actually our second time trying to contact him. This is what we'll be asking him to answer when he sits down with us. Angie Nixon's invite. We've invited her back as well. As you know, in the beginning, she did sit down with us. I guess she sat down with us that she was at a park with her daughter, taking some time out. Lady is all over Florida. But we've invited her back as well. And we'd love to have both of them come through before the general. I also want to remind you that Mona and I will be creating a slate for the general election, and hopefully we'll have that out sometime around October 5th, before that registration deadline. So stay close and stay informed, and by all means, stay engaged and keep the conversation going. The only way we are going to win as a Black community is if we come together and we have these kind of talks. That's it. That's it. And tap into tap into Curtis Stokes and what he wrote. It was long, it was thoughtful, but he pretty much outlined how he saw Byron Donalds, and he is respected in this community. I think that's a voice that hopefully we'll hear more from over the next 70 days. Okay, I'm quiet.
No, so was that on Curtis Stokes' page?
It was actually attached to this show. It was in the comment section of this show.
On WABI's page.
It's on
Is it on
WABI's
WABI's
page.
Okay. We've been on Facebook today. But I just want to say this to David Shaw and his camp. We need to have this down sooner than later. Because, I mean, even though, because it'd be a little disrespect if you reach out to us on October, the last week in October. Because actually we're going to be pushing audience, the people who listen to our feedbacks to the Democratic, to that ticket. And we would like to say that we've had a conversation with the guy. We'd like to say he has agreed on this, and this. Now, I'm not saying he's going to agree on everything, but And I did send the media team an email this morning, Jeanette. So, and we
Okay.
have now reached out all of these people. Um, yeah, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Yep.
Do you want to try to reach out to Brian and uh, see what he says?
It'd be better if you reached out to him because I have no time for Republicans.
Well, I did say I don't want to waste my time on people who we're not gonna support.
Yeah, I truly believe
Because we know
he,
we're not going to support him.
but I truly believe he is a Trojan horse for more corruption by Donald Trump and his cronies. And Florida is the perfect state for that. So, folks, here's what we're asking you to do with everything we just laid out. Check your registration or register if you haven't. The deadline for the November 3rd general election here in Florida is October 5th, 2026. Not November, October 5th. Second, pull your own records. Don't take our word for it. Go look at the grid. Go look at the 8-point platform that we have on our Facebook page. Go look at the demand priority list yourself and decide what you're negotiating for. By all means, please negotiate. Don't just give your vote away as a gift. And third, subscribe to us on YouTube at We Are Black Independents. So you're there when the July interview drops and the Jolly, I said July, the Jolly interview drops and when the general election slate publishes. By all means, don't gift your vote to anybody. Make them earn it. Because we're not marching, we're all moving different. And that's pretty much all I have. What do you have, Mona?
I'll just say this, Jeanette, because we know that it was less than 25% of Tampanians voted in the last election.
Yeah.
And I want to say to the matriarchs in the family, the head of the family, the grandmothers, whoever, we have to tell them when we don't vote, we get people like DeSantis who came in and just like that, with the whip of erased a lot of stuff we had fought for, and but just like that, we could put John back in office and have reverse those. But we have to do that. And I don't want to say they used to always get upset with the Democratic Party. We have to vote like I like the pin on. This is the most important. But we can see now. And we are holding these candidates um, accountable. Although we have voted always like our life depended on it, we just have not held the candidate accountable. So we're trying to change that. So that's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Please get your 18-year-olds or anybody in your family who isn't registered, and get them to the poll. They need to be requesting mail-in ballots, and they did really good on the mail-in ballot. Everybody now, so just request your mail-in ballot, get them, fill them out, send them back in,
Yep.
and we'll be okay. Yep. So that's all I have.
Okay, everybody. See you on Sunday.